What's up, witches? How we doing? What's up? Let me know if you can hear me over the music. I'm in a real jazzy vibe lately, a real like Renaissance type vibe lately. So that's what we're giving. Happy new moon. New moon, new me. I don't know about you guys, but this Virgo new moon is incredibly activating. It just really feels like the next few months are going to be an entirely different reality, a completely different existence for most of us, and it's starting like today. And so I was just suddenly compelled to color my hair, which is something I used to do a lot back in the day. Anytime I was feeling different, feeling new, feeling like changing it up. And I haven't done that in a long time, in literally like 5 years, ever since I started going natural, twisting and then locking my hair. I didn't want to touch it with anything. And then all of a sudden I just got the desire, the strong urge to color it. So it's red now. Jasmine, what color? That, can you not see it? I wanted to go, full disclosure, I wanted to go like really bright fire engine red. But I also really don't want to damage my locks. And I'm not a color, professional. Okay, you can see it now? Okay, good. I'm not a color professional or anything like that. So I am using the skills that I learned back in the day coloring my hair with fairly safe results. So rather than bleaching my hair, I decided to just lift the color with a little bit of a blondish dye and then color it with red. And I decided to go with crimson mixed with ruby red so that it didn't come out too orange. So because of that, I forgot that like whenever you do that on dark hair, you're not going to get a super vibrant color. So when it was all done, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think I learned this lesson like many years ago and then forgot it. So I'm happy with it because it's not even really about how it looks. It's more about the symbolism for me of like just calling in something new and stepping into a new chapter and embodying the newness of what I'm projecting. So that's really more of what it is about. And over time, I'm going to continue to lighten it more and lift more color out of it and bring the red up brighter and brighter. So by the end of the year, it'll probably be like the very bright red that I imagined. But by doing it this way, I will, keep it from being damaged, which I really want to, which is really important to me because I want these locks. I want to keep these locks in until I'm 50. I know I have like, I project far into the future. So I want to keep these locks until I'm like 50. And then by that time they'll be long and all that. And then I'm going to cut them all off. But I really don't want to have anything happen to them that makes me do that any sooner than I've planned. So yeah, so we're coloring it. We're getting it to red, but we're going to do it in stages. Gently and safely. So we lifted it a little bit to like a light brown and then colored it red. And then the next time I do this, I'm going to lift it again. It'll probably be closer to blonde at that point. And then I'm going to lift it one more time and it'll be like really blonde and it will take red much brighter. And I'll go further and further up to the roots. You'll also notice that I didn't go all the way up to the roots. That's on purpose as well to maintain like my lock strength. So yeah, so that's that. But anyway, it is red, okay? New moon, new me. Hey, yeah, okay. And it will look a lot cuter when it is retwisted. So that is what I'm gonna do right now. And I figured I'd hang out with y'all. Happy new moon. I just finished up a new moon money pouring ritual with Yeye Louisa Tish. If you don't know who Yeye Tish is, get with it. She is the author of Jambalaya, one of the most prolific and important books written on the ATRs from an African American perspective. The book is about 40 years old. It's one of my favorites. I recommend it to everybody. And the Coven Book Club is actually reading it this fall. This month we're reading Consorting with Spirits by Jason Miller. I want to say Jambalaya we might be reading in November. I think we're reading Ancestral Whispers by Ben Stimson in October. And then December's book is Wheel of the Year by Temperance Alden, or Year of the Witch by Temperance Alden. So we've got some fun books in the book club, but Jambalaya is a book that really I think every practitioner should read, but certainly if you are a practitioner of color, you need to read Jambalaya. And there is a new moon money pouring ritual on page 35 of the original copy that me and the shop witches used to do every new moon when I turned the shop into retail. And it felt like a full circle moment, given that I'm closing down the retail part of HQ. I'll talk about that in a second. To do that ritual again in a new way by myself, because I'm stepping into an era that is more independent and that doesn't involve the retail. So I wanted to do that ritual, and Yeye Tish does it for free with like her Patreon or with her community every new moon. So I participated in that. So I just wrapped up that ritual, and I'm continuing on with my own rituals, doing my hair, and then I'm gonna prep my new moon spiritual bath, charge that overnight, and then in the morning I'll be taking that and then heading over to the shop to start preparing for this big sale that we're having and this transition into our next chapter. What brand did I use? For the lifting, I used Dark and Lovely, and for the color, I used Adore Me. I know, straight up beauty supply store type-ish, but I'm having kind of like a revolution. I guess I'll call it a renaissance, since Renaissance has been like my vibe. Not Beyonce Renaissance, like the Renaissance, like 1920s Renaissance, has been like my vibe. So I've been doing a lot of like, I feel like I'm reverting back in a lot of ways to like my early 20s, and revisiting things that I used to really love that I stopped doing because I felt like I didn't have the time, or, you know, like I was too grown for it, but that truly fulfill me. So I'm like going back to those things, but with more wisdom, I'd like to think. Same ones you used, yep. Listen, beauty supply store, baby. Dark and Lovely, because Dark and Lovely has the bleaching kit, but I go with the luminous blonde lifting. So I didn't want to bleach. Bleaching with locks is a tricky game, because if you don't get the bleach out of the interior of the lock, the bleach will eat away at your locks, and I did not want that. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna go with the old school, less dramatic but safer way of doing things. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody's new moon? Is anybody else doing any new moon rituals?
We're looking for adults 45 and under to be
Drop
HPV
your,
vaccination
does this have ads?
Sound like
Boo.
you not me.
Boo. Yeah, what are your, anybody got new moon plans? Anybody working on some new moon rituals? How are you calling in this new moon energy? It is a new moon in Virgo by Western astrology, new moon in Leo by Vedic astrology. And kind of either way you look at it, the energy around this particular new moons are always obviously a time of new beginnings, starting over, purging, cleansing, clearing, letting go of the old, you know, ushering in the new. But this new moon in particular is very analytical and critical, I feel like, because of the Virgo placement. I imagine it feels like the right time to really like take assessment of things, make lists, make charts, make new calendars and plans for the rest of the year. It really feels like this is the time to set the tone for the rest of the year. And it's so interesting because I kind of planned it and then also kind of didn't plan it. But it's not accidental that this change that I'm making at HQ is happening right now. When you are like, you know, I'm always teaching my students that being a witch is not nearly as fantastical or mystical as, you know, TV and movies would have you to believe it. It's really very based in science and nature to be a practitioner. All witches are really doing is paying attention. That's all. We're just paying attention. We're paying attention to the flow of energy. We're paying attention to how things are shifting. We're paying attention to what's happening in the universe, what's happening in the cosmos, and what's happening with ourselves. We're just paying attention in a way that a lot of other people maybe are not. And so, because I was paying attention to the shifts that were happening, I feel like I was able to choose a very opportune time to make this shift at HQ. So, for those of you who don't know, the shift that I am making at HQ is I am closing up the retail part of the shop. If you're new here, hi, I'm Allie. I am the Bronx Witch, and I am the CEO and founder of the Bronx's only metaphysical bookstore and workshare space. We have been open as of October. We will be 3 years old, which I am super, super proud of. And during that time, probably about 2 years ago, I started offering retail. We originally, for those of you who don't know, we originally were only a workshare space. So this transition, in a lot of ways, really isn't new. It's new for some of you guys, but it's not new for me, because this is really just a return to what my original idea for HQ was. I did not have the intention of opening up a shop. That was not my plan. My original intention was to have a workshare space for readers and healers and mystics. That was our tagline. That was our original logo. That's what our original logo said. It didn't say spiritual shop. It said workshare space for readers and healers and mystics. Because I envisioned a co-working space that was specifically for people like me, for tarot readers, for Reiki healers, for spiritual practitioners of different kinds that needed a place to work out of, because I opened the business during COVID, and I had recently become a Reiki healer during the early days of COVID. And as soon as I did, or like right before COVID hit, and as soon as I did, I realized, like, oh snap, I don't have anywhere to work out of because it's COVID. I can't have people in my house. I can't be in other people's homes. I could rent a space somewhere, but that's super expensive. And, you know, if I'm going to some other place, like, am I traveling on the train? Like, what's going on? Is that safe? And so I opened this space in the Bronx because I felt like I probably wasn't the only person that had that issue, that was a healer, that was a practitioner, that was a reader, and needed a safe and not only clean, but spiritually cleansed place to work out of. And I first opened with the idea of it being my space, just for me. And then Spirit was like, no, ma'am, we did not give you this space just for you. Hope you know. And so I opened it to the general public and started making it a place where other people could like reserve space. And over time, what would happen is clients would come in to me for readings, for Reiki sessions, and they would always ask me for stuff. Or things would come up in the reading that I would recommend, and I'd say, okay, you might want to consider getting a candle for this, or I recommend that you read this book on this topic. You should learn more about this, etc. And the question was always, oh, well, do you have that book? Oh, do you have a candle that I could buy? And the answer was always, oh, wait, no, I don't. And then after a while, one of my Reiki clients was like, oh, if you had these things, like I would rather get them from you. Because I would recommend like other botanicas in the area or other spiritual shops. And if you don't live in New York, then you might not be familiar with this, or it might be different where you live. But the feedback that I would get from people and the experience that I would have when I would go into botanicas and spiritual shops was not a great one. Unfortunately, a lot of the spiritual shops in New York, for whatever reason, are not super welcoming. They don't really have a great vibe, despite having the products that you need. And I was constantly getting that feedback, like, oh yeah, I know I could get, a candle there, or I could go get books there, but like I kind of don't like it, especially if you're a new witch. A lot of the feedback from new witches was like, oh, I go into these shops and they, seem to be annoyed with me for asking questions, or they don't really want to answer my question, or they don't have the answers. The people who work there are maybe young, not super experienced themselves, So I would get all of this feedback about how the shopping experience in a lot of these other places just wasn't pleasant. And everybody kept telling me like, oh, I wish you had these things. I would get them from you. So after a while, I was like, wait a minute, why don't I have these things, I might as well. I make teas, I make candles, I sell them online. At that time, I had an Etsy shop. So I started offering my teas and my candles in the shop. We had like a little corner in the back room where I just had like a few items and like a couple packs of incense and, like the emergency stuff, a few bottles of Florida water that people could get when they would come in for sessions. And then that just started to grow. And then it became more candles, and then it became more books and more incense. And then I was like, well, this is starting to overgrow this little corner. What if I had like an entire room dedicated to these items and people could come and shop? And that was how the store got born. It was never my intention. It really came out of me just listening to what people were telling me they needed, and me trying to make the experience as pleasant for them as I could, And that was like 2 years ago. And really proud of the shop and all that I did. It created in me a desire to have a shop for witches where witches can come and get the things that they need, but also get education, learn, meet other witches. And it was because of the shop. Like if I hadn't have opened the shop, I don't think we would have the online portal. I don't think we would have the virtual coven. I don't think we would have the book club. I don't think we would have all of these other things that I created that people told me that they needed, because people would come in and they'd look at the book selection or they'd look at the candles and they'd be like, okay, I want to get this, but I don't know how to use it, or they'd come in and want to share their personal stories and they'd be like, wow, I don't have anybody to talk to about like what I'm going through. Nobody in my family is like me, or nobody in my community is like me. And that is what inspired me to create the online portal and the virtual coven and all of that. So the store really gave birth, like it created an opportunity basically for me to have conversations with people and to learn what people needed, especially the baby witches out there. And that phrase, by the way, like I don't call people baby witches because I judge them as baby witches. This is the phrase that you guys call yourselves. People would come into the shop and I'd be like, what are you looking for? And the first words out of everybody's mouth is, oh, I don't know. I'm like a baby witch. I'm dabbling. I've got this problem in my life and like, I'm trying to figure out how to solve it. I'm trying to learn. So I only call you guys baby witches because that's what you call yourselves. And I said, okay, obviously the baby witches need a home. Like they need a place to go. They need experienced witches to learn from that are not going to judge them. They need other witches that are on their level that they can feel comfortable learning with and hanging out with. How do I do that? And so now that I've done that, it's almost like the shop has served its purpose and it doesn't need to be there anymore. Now what's happening with the shop is, yes, it still obviously fosters conversation. It's still a safe space for new witches, for all witches, but especially the new ones, to come and learn. But it's almost like the word has gotten out. People know about HQ now. If you have not bothered to come to HQ, then obviously we just are not that valuable to you. You may say that you want a space like us, but if you live in New York City and you know that HQ exists and you haven't come here, that's cap. No offense. If you were really like me, like I was when I was a young witch at 12, 13, 14 years old, if I'd heard about a witchy shop, a Black woman, queer-owned witchy shop that encourages you to come in, ask questions, and has all of these different resources, I would have broke my neck to get there because I genuinely needed it and would have found so much value in it. So there are a lot of folks that claim that this is the type of place that they need, but they're not really genuinely on that journey. They're not really at a place where they're trying to invest in themselves and change their lives through magic and spirituality, but they like the idea of it, so they say that they are. So anyway, so I feel like the word is out, and I feel like the people who really need us, need me, need this space, have found us. They have found us, and they know about us, and they know where to find us, and how to get in touch, and how to partake. And the shop has served its purpose. Its chapter is done. Because with the location that we are in an office inside of a lobby. We do not have a storefront. And the idea of this turning into like a commercially viable shop for people who are not really necessarily on journeys, but just want to like do a little book shopping or do a little candle shopping or whatever, that's not realistic for this space. And I thought it was. I thought I could grow this into that type of a store. But now I realize that that's never what that's not what God had in mind for HQ, right? And they always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So my plan was, I'm going to turn HQ into like a store that's like busy all the time, and then that will help us raise money to like move into a storefront. And God was like, that's not why I gave you HQ. And that's not why I gave you the idea to start selling retail. I gave you that idea so that the people who needed you could find you. And now that they have, you need to make yourself more available to those people. You need to be teaching more classes. You need to be doing more workshops. You need to be out in the world helping other people who are interested in magic and spirituality but are afraid or don't know where to look or don't see people that look like them sharing information and teaching. You need to be out in the world sharing your 25 plus years of knowledge and experience as a practitioner with those people. You are not supposed to be spending 70 hours a week, which is my work week right now, sitting at the register waiting for people to come and buy candles. That's not why we gave you this. So now that I understand that, and I realized that HQ's job as a shop has been served. I have to listen and follow where the energy is actually flowing. Because anytime you try to fight against the energy, you're gonna have nothing but troubles. And the energy is flowing away from HQ as a shop and returning it back to its original purpose, which is a co-working space for the spiritual and magical community, so that I can use it, so that others can use it, more classes can be taught, more workshops can be held, more events can happen. And then I have future goals and visions of a different kind of retail space, that the details of which I will keep under wraps because it's in the very early manifestation stages. But what I can tell you is that anything that you do to support HQ moving forward is going to be going to that vision. So there will be a storefront, there will be a shop for the witches again. Okay, so this is a pause on the shop, but certainly not a ending of the shop idea. But the shop is not needed right now. What is needed right now is a space for people to learn and work and grow. And now that enough people know about us, thanks to the shop can take a pause. So that's what's happening. And it's not just the shop that's getting like a revamp, so am I. I am becoming more, I guess, comfortable with the idea that I am here to teach and help and lead the next generation of would-be witches into their magic and into their power, and that I am here to help people navigate the craziness of the internet, which did not exist when I first started practicing 26 years ago. It was a very different world. I had the opposite problem than what a lot of you guys have. I had not enough information available to me. What you guys, if you're a baby witch right now, what you're dealing with is too much information, and too much incorrect information, too much internet sensationalized information. I bet a bunch of you blew cinnamon into your front doors today for no fucking reason, just because like the internet says you're supposed to. You have no idea why. You have no idea why, no offense. You have no idea why last month when you blew cinnamon into your front door, you also didn't make any more money than you did the month prior. You just did it because, I don't know, the clock app somehow caught on to this, and now everybody is telling you to do that at the first of the month. And has that worked for anybody? Anybody over here made $1 million because they're blowing cinnamon in their front door? Anybody here have a demonstrable, meaning you have like recorded documentation of how you were not making enough money or paying your bills, and how that has changed since you started blowing cinnamon in your front door, and you can attribute that change specifically to the cinnamon and not to anything else going on in your life? Can you? If you can, I'd love to know. But I have a feeling that a bunch of you blew cinnamon into your front doors because somebody's app told you to, then you have no idea why. And so I need to be here to help y'all with that. Which is not to say that that would not be an effective ritual. It's just that you don't know why that would work in the first place. You don't understand the underlying principles of shifting energy. You don't know how to work with herb magic and herb medicine. You don't know how to clear blockages out of your life first before calling things in, so you don't know what to do to prepare before blowing cinnamon, nor what to do after. And the internet provides you with a whole bunch of what's and how's and not enough why, not enough opportunity for introspection and incorporation into your actual lives, and not enough education on the underlying science behind magic, the universal principles that make magic real and effective. And so you're over here doing a lot of things, buying a lot of things, experimenting with a lot of things with just a complete lack of understanding as to why they might work. So if they do work for you, it's completely random, it's accidental, and you can't necessarily recreate it at will. So it may as well just not even be like you may as well not know the information if you can't use it. You know what I'm saying? Knowing how an engine works means nothing if you can't drive a car. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that it's important that I help you all. And the only reason why I'm able to help you is because I began my practice at a time where I didn't have an app telling me to do shit. I really had to go and research. I had to spend hours upon hours upon hours in libraries, combing through books. I had to look for teachers. I had to find other practitioners with experience and results. And I had to look for results in my life because I had the time to do it. The internet distracts a lot of you. So you'll do something because the internet says do it. You'll light a candle, you'll make a bath, you'll do something. And then the internet is so distracting that you don't even have the stillness to sit afterwards and say, did that work? Did something happen? So 6 weeks later, a month later, you're doing it again because you feel like you're supposed to, but you have no memory of whether or not the last time you did it, anything actually happened, because you don't know how to keep a magical record, and you don't know how to track progress in your life, and you don't know how to build relationships with the things that you are working with, and all of that jazz. And I'm here to help you. And I can't do that if I'm spending 70 hours sitting in the shop waiting for people to come buy candles and being concerned about, like, you know, how many candles the shop sold so that we can pay like the rent and stuff. So I understand that now. I get it. I was unsure what Spirit was saying to me. It took me a minute to translate the message. I had to build a relationship with a new spirit guide in the form of Black Herman, who has helped to point me in the direction where my clarity lied. And now that I've gotten there and I've gotten those messages and it's become clear to me what I have to do, now I'm really leaning into that fully. And I'm excited about it. I'm a little nervous, of course, because I'm a human and I make money from what I sell at the shop. So the idea of suddenly not making that money is very unsettling in a world in which money allows you to do a lot of things. But I know that I will be provided for, and I have that faith. I'm stepping out on faith, I think is what I should say. I don't even know if I can say I have faith. I'll say I want to have faith, and so I'm stepping out on faith and giving it the opportunity to actually work for me. So I'm stepping out on faith because my purpose and my assignment are clear. And the people that I'm here to help are here, and I need to make myself available to them. And I know that whenever you show up in the world with the goal of helping others, you are cared for. When you are a light in the world, you are provided for. So, a little scary, also a little overwhelming, or I won't say overwhelming, but whelming. Just because the workshare space, you know, it's 2 years of retail that has to be broken down. So we have displays, we have furniture, we have inventory. We have all of this stuff that needs to go. So please come and shop this sale, by the way, if you're in the New York area and you need to stock up on candles, crystals, books, herbs, etc. Come and shop. Everything is going to be 50% off. So that's a great deal for you, but you're also going to be helping me get rid of these things so that I can more quickly switch gears and get the space back into full work share space mode. And wait until you guys see the new design. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's how to make a space, baby. If you've never been to HQ, hey, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who've come to HQ, y'all know it's cute AF. You give me an empty room, I am going to make it bomb. I am going to make it so bomb. I found out that I had this incredible skill when I got hired by Ravi DeRossi of DeRossi Global, who hired me back in my hospitality management days to open up a charity cocktail bar concept called Coup. It didn't survive after I left, of course, because I was the reason it was alive in the first place. So when I quit, they quickly figured out that they probably should have paid me more and kept me around. But anyway, such is what it is. And he hired me, and my very first day I come to the main offices to get the keys to the space and get the rundown on what has been purchased, what was remaining to be purchased, etc., who needed to be hired, etc. And I find out that day that no liquor had been bought, no decor had been designed, there was no operating POS system, there was no working music sound system, there was no staff. I was basically given an empty room and a concept, and was told, I was hired on March 28th, and I was told, oh, by the way, we told the New York Times, because DeRossi Global is a big cocktail hospitality group, so they have that kind of press coverage. Ravi tells me, oh, by the way, we told the New York Times that we're having a grand opening on April 14th. I slept at the bar. Shout out to my husband for being cool with this at the time, because looking back on it, I don't know why he was okay with this. I slept at the bar 4 or 5 nights out of the week for 2 weeks straight on Astor Place, not really good security. I'm sleeping on the couch in the bar. I slept in this bar. I hired 25 people. I held an 8-hour all-day training session. I wrote a 45-page training manual. Purchased thousands of dollars worth of liquor and equipment. Got our POS, sound system, security, staff, cocktail menu, small bites menu, everything prepared. And the 2 fuckers that were supposed to be my beverage managers were like, oh, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. And I was like, do you not know who I am? The man said April 14th. We open April 14th. And wouldn't you know, April 14th, baby, beautiful grand opening. We raked in thousands of dollars. We had hundreds of guests. New York Times, press, several celebrities. And Ravi pulls me to the side at some point during the night and was just like, this is the most incredible thing. I do not know how you did this. And I was like, well, it's what I do, baby. So I learned then that I have an incredible skill at creating spaces. You give me an empty room, you tell me what it's supposed to be, and I'm going to do it. And not only am I going to do it, I'm probably going to do it under budget. So I know that this new redesign is going to be incredible, and I'm super pumped up about it, and I'm excited. I just know that it's going to be a lot of work because I do tend to sometimes give myself unrealistic deadlines. And like, nobody is telling me this has to be done in 2 weeks. Like, nobody is telling me that. That's me. I'm like, I want this done. By the time I do the Witch Talk lecture on the 15th, I want this place to be like 90% remodeled and redesigned. Nobody's making me do that. But I tend to put like extra pressure on myself and set insane deadlines for myself. But I just work better under pressure. So if there's no pressure, I'm not necessarily gonna work as well as I could. So I kind of create pressure for myself sometimes so that I really show up and show out. So anyway, come by my shit so that I can get to work. I need y'all to get this stuff out of the way. I'm done with it. It served its purpose. It will do you well. Everything I have is quality, so come and get it. Okay? You'll be able to tell your grandchildren 20 years from now, I bought the last candle sold by the BronxWitch at a place we used to call headquarters. You know? All right, I'm missing all the good comments. Hey, Jeanette, what's up, girl? Hey, Hendrix. I'm sad at wasting cinnamon to begin with. Yeah, put that cinnamon on your food. You're probably way better off putting it into your next cup of coffee than blowing it into your front door if you don't know why you're doing it or what it's supposed to be doing, or what the underlying principles are, how to make it actually turn into money for you. Put it on your next donut. That's a better use of it. Hey, Alaren and Valentonia. Oh, yes, Valentonia, you can definitely still visit. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can still visit. We will be a Workshare space. Okay, we will be open for the same hours, Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 7. You just won't be able to shop there. You will be able to reserve space if you need a table to work at, if you need Wi-Fi, if you need a clean, quiet, super jazzy place to work out of, if you need a private room to teach a class, a workshop, to take a client, to meditate, to get away from your loud ass kids, you know, whatever it is that you need. The co-working space for you will be able to utilize it. So you definitely will. You'll be able to attend amazing events, classes, workshops, and all of that. Hello, Lauren Berg. Yes, I am. It's so funny that you would say that I'm taking the full card leap, because I came to that realization in the shower as I was washing out my hair yesterday. Because I've been thinking a lot about the Tower card over the last couple of weeks. And I think I have finally shifted from the Tower to the Fool. So it was a lot of like coming to terms with the ending of things. Getting rid of the old classes in the portal, cutting ties with, you know, folks that have been benefiting from me but have not necessarily been returning that exchange of energy. Cutting off a lot of people, telling some people not to call me for a while, you know. Shifting, making new friends, having different people around me, spending time in different places than I usually do, different people. Shout out to Jasmine. And it was a lot of Tower moment energy for the last few weeks. And then in the last week or so, it shifted into the Fool energy. And that's what I meant by I'm stepping out on faith. I would be lying to you if I said I have faith. I've come to realize that having faith is actually a really big thing. It's a very difficult thing to do. And I've decided to take the pressure off of myself to have faith and instead admit that I don't necessarily have it, but that I'm going to step out as if I did anyway. And that is very much the Fool card. The Fool does not have faith that there's going to be something waiting for him when he steps off that cliff. But he's putting his head to the sky and taking the step anyway. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking the leap with all the doubt, with all the fear, with all the uncertainty. I'm not pretending like I have some deep knowledge that because I'm walking in my purpose, I know what I'm doing, or that this is easy. I'm admitting that I'm horrified, that I'm afraid, that I'm unsure about a lot of things. And I'm doing it anyway. And bringing you guys along for the ride. So thank you for being here and being a part of the story and a part of the journey. Yeah, and I'm documenting as much of it as I can. So I've been dropping some posts on, I'm still on a break on my BronxWitch Instagram page. That's going to change next week. I think I'm going to finally come back to posting on that page regularly again. But I think the vibe is going to be different. My focus is going to be different. But I have put up a couple of posts on the HQ page, of course, so people know what's going on there. And I'll be in the stories, I'll be posting and kind of documenting the changes that are being made, because I'm really excited about them. I love to design a space, like I said. Cinnamon is very good on oatmeal, yes. I always put cinnamon on my oatmeal. So this music that is playing, first of all, can you guys hear the music? Let me know if you can hear the music. Because if you can't hear it, then what I'm about to say makes no sense. Oh, by the way, while you're telling me about the music, check it out. New merch in the merch shop. We have cropped hoodies now. Look at this. It's got a drawstring in the front. Cropped hoodies. You can get them with BronxWitch, with the BetterWitch logo. You can get it with 100% that witch. You can get it with the hashtag witches helping witches. So all the different catchphrases and logos that we have, you can now get in a cropped hoodie. Yes, I had to get it as soon as they dropped it. I was like, cropped hoodie for us petites, for us shorty pies. Okay, anything cropped is a win. So I had to handle up on the cropped hoodie. So check out the merch shop. But yes, okay, we love it. You like the music? Okay, good. So I have been playing a lot of 1920s, 1930s jazz because I've been in a big Renaissance era. Ever since my hoodoo teacher started this journey of me getting to know Black Herman, it's been wild. If you guys don't, if you're new here and you don't know the story of Black Herman, you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't go into all of it. Either watch some of the old lives, just type in Black Herman on this channel. I've gone live several times. I've given several updates about Black Herman. We still have a few candles. No more prayer cards. One last copy of his grimoire. All of that will be on sale in the shop this week. But Black Herman is very much becoming a folk saint for conjurers and hoodoo practitioners in the Bronx and in New York. He was a huge deal in Harlem during the Renaissance. And what a lot of people don't know, like when they think about the Harlem Renaissance, obviously they think about Harlem. But what a lot of people don't know is that the South Bronx, which is where we are located, which is where HQ is located, where I'm from, the South Bronx was called Little Harlem. And the reason it was called Little Harlem was because, think about it like this, if you have enough money to open up a business, a nightclub, if you're able to work in Times Square, New York City, would you live in Times Square? Hell no, right? You would work there, you would have your business there, but you're not gonna live there. It is madness, it is craziness, it is busy, it is loud, it is bright. Like, if you have the money to have a nice quiet home somewhere in the suburbs where you can easily get to Times Square, that's what you're gonna do, right? So that's what the South Bronx was for people during the Renaissance. If you could afford to have a business in Harlem, you wouldn't live there. You would live somewhere more exclusive. You would live somewhere more residential, more rural, more quiet, more clean. And that's what the South Bronx was. During the Renaissance, the Grand Concourse, which was originally called the Grand Boulevard and Concourse, was considered the Park Avenue of the Bronx. And it was an exclusive place to live. Saying that you lived in the Bronx, saying that you lived in the South Bronx, that you lived on the Grand Concourse was a flex, okay? It was a sign of luxury. It was a sign of elitism. It was a sign that you had money and that you were well to do. Yeah, he was 44. I think he was 44 or 45 when he passed. And the 90th anniversary of his passing was this year. He died in 1934. So, if you know anything about the Bronx now, and the South Bronx in particular, you would never, I mean, I consider it to be a flex because I'm super proud of being from here, and I know that it's made me who I am and that there's no other place in the world like it. And I wouldn't live anywhere else if you paid me at this point in my life. So I think living in the Bronx is a flex, and I think living on the Grand Concourse is a flex, and always had. But that's not necessarily the reputation, okay, that we have, right? The Bronx has a reputation of being dangerous, of being dirty, of being disenfranchised, low income, inferior to other parts of the city, etc., etc. But that's not what it always was. It originally was a place of luxury and exclusivity, and it was a big flex to have a home here because it was mostly residential homes and two-family homes in this area. There were estates and huge mansions, luxury hotels like the Concourse Plaza Hotel where Marilyn Monroe and JFK liked to stay. Babe Ruth liked to stay there during the Yankees season. Lou Gehrig would stay there as well. All the like away team players that could afford it would stay there. There's a movie, a 1956 movie called The Catered Affair with Betty Davis that takes place centered around the Concourse Plaza Hotel. So this was a luxury place to live from like the 1910s to the 1950s. And then things started to change. And then the Bronx became really bad during the 70s and 80s when a lot of racism caused a huge decline in the quality of life here. And out of that tragedy, out of that struggle, hip hop was born. So young Black and Puerto Rican kids, basically, who were living amongst abandoned buildings and a crack epidemic and rampant violence and police brutality, started creating this musical art form to express themselves and to save themselves from what they were going through, which is beautiful. But when people think about the Bronx, that's where their history starts. They start in the 70s and 80s, and they go from there. They don't go back before the 70s and ask what was the Bronx like before then. And I have learned so much about what the Bronx was like before then, and particularly what it was like during the Renaissance, during the 20s and 30s. And I have become obsessed. I am obsessed. I am in love. It is so fucking bougie, which I am. It is very in alignment with my bougie spirits, okay? And I am like, oh my God, yes, I want to bring that back. So, Jasmine, you're a little late, my dear. Jasmine said you should make a trip to his gravesite in Woodlawn. My dear, unless you're talking to somebody else, maybe you already know this about me, but the dirt, the conjure powder that is in the Black Herman candles and prayer cards that we have in the shop is made with dirt from his gravesite, which I obtained in February of this year at the request of my hoodoo teacher. So at the request of my hoodoo teacher, Brother Moses Shanase of the Holy Mountain Spiritualist Temple in Colorado, I went to the cemetery, found his grave, which is unmarked, So it is quite a challenge to do that. Found his grave, obtained dirt from it, as well as dirt from the crossroads in the cemetery, sent that dirt to my teacher, who, in collaboration with another one of my teachers, Dr. Cosmic Nuage in Columbia, South Carolina, created this conjure powder that we have used to speak with Black Herman, petition him for various things, but also to get his feedback on how he feels about being in an unmarked grave. What he told us is that he would be fine with us fixing that and giving him a proper headstone, because that's what I want to do. But he refuses to take charity for it. He wants to work for it. And so that's why we created the candles and the prayer cards, so that we can petition him to do things for us in our lives and essentially earn a proper headstone. 25% of all of the candle sales, prayer card sales, and grimoire sales are going towards the efforts of a proper gravesite. And the candles, prayer cards, and grimoires are being sold by me, by Brother Moses in Colorado, and by Dr. Nuage in Columbia, South Carolina. So the three of us and our three magical communities are all working towards giving him a proper headstone, in the manner in which he has instructed us to do so. So he's become a very important figure in my life right now. And what he did for incorporating conjure and hoodoo into life here in Harlem and the Bronx, I feel like I am walking in those footsteps and recreating that. And learning more about his life. His home, I hesitate to say where it is. I have posted about this, and the address of his home is in his grimoire, okay? But I'm not going to just shout it out everywhere, because people live there and they are lovely people. I got to meet them. They're very nice, and I don't necessarily want crowds of people to start showing up at their home. So if you feel so called spiritually to go to his gravesite or to go to his home, you will find information about both online. You will find information about his gravesite very easily online. His home, you will need to obtain the grimoire to find the address. But I did that, and I went to visit his home. I met the current residents, talked to them about the history of the home, and obtained some things from there for my own workings. And we'll be returning to that space to give additional offerings as thanks because of the things that he's been doing. I've already been back twice. So the Renaissance period has become really important for me, because during that time you had Black people from the South coming up to places like New York, Chicago, Detroit, and bringing with them their hoodoo, bringing with them their spirituality and their magical practices. And when we think about hoodoo, especially people of color in places like New York, we often think of the South. And I think a lot of Black people in New York feel like they don't have an attachment or a connection to hoodoo if they don't have a connection to the South. So I feel really honored to be able to help witches understand that they do not have to be from the South or have a connection to the South or go down South in order to learn hoodoo or have a very rich and legitimate connection to it as a practice. Because it was brought here and it was practiced very widely here as well. So the research that I've been doing and the things that I've been learning about the Renaissance have really put me in that vibe, like aesthetically. And so the decor of HQ is going to be taking on a Renaissance vibe. Shout out to Temu, which I've shopped on for the first time ever. We're gonna see how this works out. I've heard very mixed messages about shopping on Temu, but I did it because I needed these things and we don't necessarily have a ton of money to do it with. So I ordered a lot of things, a lot of decor, And we are going to be going with a 1920s, 1930s inspired Renaissance vibe at HQ in the co-working space. I even got like old school phones and stuff. Like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so cute. No, it was not. Are you talking about his house or about his grave site? The house was easier to find. The house was definitely easier to find because in his grimoire he gave the address and it's still there and it's the same address. So that was easy to find. I just had to go to Harlem. I, for whatever reason, chose the hottest day of the summer this year, but I made it. The grave site, though, was a little bit harder to find, yes. But when you are on a mission that is spirit led, you will be surprised how things that would not have been possible suddenly become possible. And so, because I was supposed to be on that journey, the right people were sent my way. I was given a map that detailed the exact location. And then, as I was walking through the cemetery, because I have the relationship with spirit that I had both a crossroad guard spirit show up, or well, I guess I shouldn't say show up. He lives there. I walked into him. But I had a crossroad spirit greet me and point me in the right direction. And then I had the spirit of perhaps Black Herman himself, I'm not sure, but I had some guiding spirit in the form of a bird knock several times at very key moments to show me where to go, and I literally walked right into his grave. And Woodlawn Cemetery is 400 acres large, thousands of graves, and I walked smack into it. I looked down and it was right at my feet because of the spirits that were guarding and guiding me there. And so what would have probably taken someone else hours took me 15 minutes to find. And it was incredible. And I've told the story of the cemetery visit in some of my previous lives. So definitely, like I said, just search on this channel for Black Herman, and all the lives I've done along the way are on there.
Slurping this stuff up. With Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, 95%.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I've heard mixed messages about the Temu thing, yo, but you know, I don't know. Again, just being called in a certain direction, and I just took the leap. I put a bunch of stuff in my cart. It came out to, remember I said I know how to design a space on budget. I have a weird skill about being able to project budget costs of doing things. It's just a thing that I have gotten really good at. I can look at a space and make a plan for how I'm going to design it, and I can give you an almost exact to the number calculation of what it's going to cost me to do it. And I'm always on. And so I had a number in my mind of what it was going to take, because it's not a full renovation, right? We have furniture, we have most of the things we need. I just needed mostly like decor and things to give this 1920s vibe to the space. And I was literally spot on, like the exact number to the tax and everything. So it's a combination, Lauren Berg. Lauren Berg asked if it's going to be speakeasy or Art Deco. It's going to be a combination because we have multiple rooms at HQ, as you know. And so we can do different things in each room. So the relax room is taking on a garden vibe because it's the relax room. It's where, you know, massage therapists have their clients. It's where Reiki teachers teach their classes and take their clients. So that room is going to have a more garden type of a vibe, more of a floral element, like Victorian garden, because the Renaissance had a lot of like throwbacks to Victorian garden style things. So it's gonna have like a Victorian garden style. So think brown leather, think hanging, draping vines, think old wooden boom, like boombox style radios, like an outdoor patio, like Victorian patio vibe. Okay, so that's what we're going with in the relax room. In the break room, what was previously the reading room, because everything was crunched together, is now just going to be the break room for coffee, tea, and lunch and all of that. The break room is going to be speakeasy vibe. So we've got speakeasy decor going on. Hey June, what's up? Thank you. I'm glad you can see it. um, yeah, so we're going with a speakeasy theme in the break room, which just makes sense, right? That's where everybody's going to be able to get their coffee and tea and sit and have their snacks or little things to eat or whatever. Spirit's trying to make me lose this one. I know why. Okay, but I want... Okay, I don't want to let it go, though. Ooh, this is symbolic. Okay. Should I let it go? Damn, don't do this to me, Spirit. I'm going to do it. Okay, I can't tell y'all about that, but damn. Oh, God. Cutting people off is not fun, y'all. When you know you got to do it, you got to do it. I've made a... Oh, God. I've made a promise to myself that I am not going to let anything stand in the way of my new life. I've been working too hard to get there. And as much as I may love someone, no one is worth my my ultimate expression of myself. So gotta let it go. Can always put it back. Thank you, Jasmine. And then in the main room, where we currently now have the retail, but is going to be the main room for larger events and co-working space. That is going to be a bit more Art Deco of a vibe. And yeah, I got some cool stuff coming for the walls, for the tables, for the bathroom, and what is going to be the coat check area. So it's gonna be good. I am excited. So tomorrow we are closed. I put the wrong dates on Instagram about the sale. So I have a feeling people are gonna come by expecting us to be open. If that happens, I'll probably just open for people, but the plan, we're not usually open on Tuesdays, we're open on Wednesdays through Sundays. So my plan is to go over tomorrow while we're closed and take measurements, start doing like a preliminary breakdown of stuff, start getting rid of things off the walls and stuff that can be put away. And then after the sale, Wednesday through Saturday, we're gonna have the sale, and then on Sunday, I'm gonna be closed again. And Alexis and Nuri are gonna come by the shop, and we're gonna just like take apart any furniture, pack up anything that didn't get sold, and start the heavy moving of things. And we should have a bunch of, hopefully, the stuff that I've ordered in at that point, so we can start moving things around. And then I'm probably gonna hit up my girl Victoria Vast of Victoria Vast Cleaning Services. If you guys need a cleaner in New York, hit up Victoria. She has cleaned the shop before and has done a phenomenal job. So I'm probably gonna hit her up and hire her for a deep clean. And yeah. Have a whole new vibe. So can you imagine coming to HQ with music like this playing in the background while you reserve a table to get some work done, work on your new business idea, or get some reading in, you know, have a meetup with some friends, or work on your spiritual business. Shout out to Keisha, who is a longtime supporter of just me and also of HQ. And she messaged me when she saw the post, and she was like, congratulations, new chapter, excited for it. And she was like, you know what this is? And I hadn't thought about it like this. She was like, this is you kicking all of us out of the nest. You're kicking us all out of the nest. You're pulling out from under us this like comfort zone, and you're making us step into the next version of ourselves. And she was like, for all of us business witches, you are now making us have to take ourselves seriously. We can't keep showing up at the shop and buying stuff and talking to you about how we want to be healers, we want to be readers, we want to be teachers. Now we have to do it, because now we can't come to the shop and just bullshit and buy stuff. Now we have to come to the shop and reserve space to teach that class, reserve space to have that pop up, reserve a table to take some meetings, to sit and work on what we're doing. And she was like, I'm gonna be the first person to book my table. Because she was like, I'm getting my shit together too. I'm making sure my business before the end of 2024 is what I want it to be, what I've been talking about. And I was like, wow, yes, that is so beautiful, because that is so in alignment with my passion. I've been saying for a while, like probably the last 6 months, that my purpose, I discovered my purpose back in like 2020 when I first started BronxWitch. And my purpose is to use my experience as a practitioner to help baby witches become better witches. That's my purpose. But as time has gone on and I've started offering spiritual business coaching and helping witches who have spiritual gifts to actually make money from those spiritual gifts and grow businesses that can sustain them, I realized my passion is to help healers and readers and mystics actually be able to make a living off of what they bring to this world and the work that they do. You would never expect your doctor to have to work 9 to 5 like at the post office in order to afford to be your doctor, would you? So why do we expect that of the readers and healers and mystics who have just as big of an impact on our lives, do just as much healing, and make just as much a difference for us? Why are they having to work elsewhere in order to be able to afford to be able to help us? You know, like, not to toot my own horn, but I've had numerous people tell me that what I have done for them has not only changed their lives, I've had numerous people tell me that what I have done for them, and this is not me doing it, but like what I have helped them to learn, helped them to create in their lives, the relationships that they've forged with spirit, with themselves, etc., that it has saved their lives. If what I do is capable of saving someone's life, why would I have to work 70 hours in a shop in order to afford to do that for you? That doesn't make sense. And so I've become really passionate about helping people who are literally saving lives with their spiritual gifts to grow sustainable practices that can turn into businesses that they can do exclusively if they want to. And the shop could never do that for people. It does not help you sustain your business to be able to come and buy candles and incense, right? Those things might be helpful. You might use them in your practice, but that's not what's going to make your practice a viable practice for you to do exclusively, so you can focus solely on that. But the work share is, the co-working space is. That is a place where I can teach workshops, where I can bring in the professionals that I have worked with, the accountants, the coaches, the lawyers. I can bring those people in and make them available to other practitioners like me, so that, like me, they can stop waitressing or teaching or whatever else it is that they are doing, and bring their gifts to the world full time if they want to. Hendrix, I'm not a huge consumer of witchy goods myself, but after a few years, I hear Spirit saying it's time to make that money back. There you go. There you go. Because what did you spend it for? What did you spend it for? It wasn't just so that you could collect a bunch of stuff. You spent that money in the first place, or as I like to say, because I've stopped saying spent money, you invested that money in things that taught you something, that helped you learn a new skill, that helped you unlock a deeper power within yourself, that helped you cultivate a relationship. And so now, what are you supposed to do with that skill? What are you supposed to do with that level up? So it's not even just about it's time to make that money back. Really what you're doing is you're now applying and using the knowledge and the skills that you gained by investing in those things in the first place. Okay? So yes, you will be making that money back, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's that you have now used those tools that you first invested in to become a version of yourself that can help others. And now it is time for you to bring that to the world and do that. And in exchange, you will be compensated. And if you have guidance, you will be able to turn that compensation into a practice that doesn't just pay you back for what you spent on those things, but that sustains you going forward and could be your sole source of income if you want it to be. And I've become really passionate about being that person to help people through the things that I've learned, the good and the bad, the successes and the failures, the mistakes, because I've made many. I can help the next witch create a practice for themselves and do it even better and even quicker with fewer mistakes than I have. And I've gotten really excited about that, working with the coaches that working with the clients that I'm currently coaching. It is so cool to see somebody go from no clients to regularly booked. It is so cool to see somebody go from no formal booking system, taking appointments in the DMs, to having like a professional booking system, web page. It is so satisfying to help somebody who doesn't understand the first thing about taxes, which I didn't. But thanks to working with a CPA and a bookkeeper for an entire year, learned so much. Now I can help the next person understand a little bit more about taxes so that they can operate their business legally and in a way that is like, on the up and up and beneficial to them in the long run and all of that good stuff. Insurance and proper legal formation and all that stuff, because while we may be spiritual, we still live in the world with everybody else, the capitalist world with everybody else. And so you can be as spiritual as you want to be, but if you don't understand that Uncle Sam wants a cut of that money, honey, there's no prayer in the world that's going to get the IRS to say, it's all good. You're bringing healing into the world, so you don't have to pay taxes on that income. I wish, right? But not quite. So I've become really passionate about helping people with that. And it's a really cool feeling to not only know your purpose, but also have tapped into your passion. So I'm sitting in the shop and I'm trying to do things for my clients, and I'm trying to help them with their web pages, and I'm trying to help them build their email sequences, and I'm trying to do all of that. And then I have to stop and like sell somebody a like $1 candle. And I'm realizing, okay, the shop has served its purpose. This is not the best use of my time. This is not how I'm going to contribute to the world right now. So the things we learn, you know. You're trying to start a tarot publishing house. I love that. That's unique. That's different. That would be fantastic. That would be super, super fantastic. A tarot publishing house. I don't think we really have. We have US games. We have US games, but they're pretty much the only name in the game for the longest. That would be fantastic. I love that. Well, holler at me if you need business coaching. Happy to help. Happy to help. And that, by the way, is what you have invested your money in all of the things that you've bought and all the classes that you've taken and all the things that you have done. You are investing in your ability to help the next tarot creator publish their deck. And so now it's time to bring your ability to do that for people to those that need it. Because there's people sitting right now with an idea for a tarot deck that would be phenomenal, that don't know where to start or how to get it made, and they need help. And self-publishing is too overwhelming. It's something that they can't wrap their minds around, and they need to be able to sell their idea to a publishing house that could do that part for them. Handle distribution, handle creation, because the idea is great, but they don't have the abilities, the skills, or the manpower, or the resources to publish it themselves. So they need you. You know how many people I meet that are like, oh, I have an idea for a tarot deck. I'm trying to design it myself. It's exhausting. And then they do design it for themselves and nobody buys it because nobody knows they exist, because they don't have the money for marketing. They don't have a distribution deal. They don't have any way to mass produce it with like actual good quality. I was literally talking to somebody in the shop yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Somebody who had never been to the shop before, and she was like, oh, I have this great idea for a she actually found us on Google. She had never been to the shop. She just moved into town and just found us on Google. She was about to go to a bakery in the area, and she was looking up the bakery, and she saw us on the map, and she came in and she was like, I just felt called to come here. And she was talking about how she's working on a tarot deck. I won't say the idea, but I thought it was phenomenal. And I bet she would love to be able to sell her idea to a publishing house, because she's designing it right now herself, and that's a lot of work. And I would love to be able to say to the people who come to me with those types of ideas, well, as it so happens, I have a client named Hendrix who is starting a tarot publishing house and needs creatives to build the portfolio of their first run of decks. you should reach out.
Dedicated to you, and if I should think a picture too, that showed the loveliness of you, my heart would be like my heart and me. Dedicated to you, because your love is the beacon that lights up my way. To you, because with you I know a lifetime could be just one heavenly day. If I should find a
Not hopefully. I don't do hope. Hope is very powerless. I will say prayerfully, and if you have it as your vision, make it happen. Hopefully suggests that you're going to sit and expect it to fall out of the sky. So I really don't deal with hope at all. I say prayerfully, and I begin praying for the strength and the courage to take the leap. I start praying for the right people to be put in my path. I start praying for clarity about what my next step should be. Because, as the Christians like to say, faith without works is dead, right? That was this Ella Fitzgerald.
Dedicated to you.
Next time I see you in the comments, Hendrix, I want to know what steps you've taken in the direction of creating your tarot publishing house. Okay? You don't have to have it. Just tell me what you've done. I think that's about it for me, guys. I think that's all I wanted to update everybody with. Happy new moon vibes. New moon, new me. I pray that all of you are able to step into this energy, take advantage of this new moon in Virgo energy to analyze, to break down, and to define with clarity what you want the rest of this year to look like, and to make the conscious decision to set that vision in your mind and step out on faith to make it a reality. Sending you all prayers for strength to overcome the fear associated with the newness, because as much as we say we want our new lives, The truth of the matter is we're also horrified at the idea of our new lives and horrified about the things we have to do to get there. And if there's one thing that I have learned and that I think I embody as a Leo, it's bravery. And what I want all of you to know is that there's no such thing as being fearless. Fear is a part of the human experience. But you can pray for bravery. And what bravery is being afraid, but doing the thing anyway. That's what it means to be brave. It does not mean that you don't have fear. It means that you are scared AF, but you do it anyway. So I pray that all of you are able to face your fears. Don't expect to get rid of it, but instead decide to do the thing that is in your heart, create the thing that is in your mind anyway. May you all have full card moments. Okay? And know that spirit is with you. Inspiration and spirit come from the same etymological root, the same word root. And you wouldn't have the idea if it wasn't for you to do it. The idea is not random. It's not coincidental. You had the idea because it is for you to do. And you just, or not just, but if you can make the decision to be brave, you can create something amazing. And I thank all of you for being here and a part of my journey of creating something amazing. And I'm excited to see what each of you creates in your own worlds for the communities that you are supposed to serve. So, have a beautiful rest of this new moon night. And I will see you all in my next live. Have a beautiful night. Blessed be, everybody.